Hi 8V, I hope you're all well and good. I'm not going to be in for the next few weeks as I'm recovering from a back operation. So what I'm going to do today is just produce a short screencast to talk you through the activities you're going to do in today's lesson. Okay, so what you'll need to do is, well, the first thing is to make sure that you've actually put your Saffir-Simpson home learning into your OneNote page. So let me just check Akira's here. So go to the tropical storms and just check in the measure in here. Okay, and we scroll down and oh, lovely, it's there. Okay, so activity 3, if you've not done so already, can you make sure that the poster is actually put into activity 3 in the demonstrate area of lesson 5 on measuring tropical storms, and then I can assess them and put them in my Firefly mark book and give you a grade and some feedback. That would be lovely. Okay, so that's the first thing to do if you have not done so already. Okie dokie. So once you've done that, you're going to go on to lesson 6, which I've now shared with you. You can see here that I have shared it in Akira's OneDrive. I'm just going to go back to actually my copy here. Okay, and relatively straightforward today. What you're looking at is what hazards are caused by tropical storms. Our learning intention is to explore opportunities and hazards presented by physical landscapes. So success criteria: identify primary and secondary hazards associated with a tropical storm, describe and explain how these hazards were created, classify these hazards in order of severity. Now, we're going to actually go on to the classifying these hazards a little bit later. So basically we're looking more at, like, really we're starting to look at more at about what these primary and secondary hazards are. We're going to be thinking a little bit about how they are created, but also we're going to think about the actual impacts that these hazards actually create, which is then going to lead us into looking at a couple of case studies over the next few weeks. So as per usual, the Firefly link is there. Okay, I'm just checking to make sure that it's working okay. Let's just check. There it is. There's the lesson. And you will need to be using this for some of the resources today. Okie dokie. So, first thing you're going to do is you've got a starter, and this is actually using your poster, which is super important why it's actually put into lesson 5. Okay, so all you're going to do is you've got a list of some tropical storms which have occurred in the past. We've got the wind speed for each of these, and all you're going to do is to write down what category 1 to 5 they are associated with the Saffir-Simpson scale. You can see the wind speed is in miles per hour there. So you would look at the wind speed of 100 miles per hour for Tropical Storm Erin, look at your poster, see what category is associated with 100 miles per hour, and then just put the number 1 to 5 in there. That's the first thing. So that's you going back and looking at the piece of work you did during last lesson and your home learning. Next thing to do is we're looking at hazards. And just read this information here, right? It's fairly clear that you're looking at what a hazard is. And a hazard actually is essentially something which causes harm to people. Okay. Now, what I want you to do is, first of all, before you even go any further with this lesson, I want you to, again, think about what you did with the Saffir-Simpson scale. And I want you to write down what you think the hazards are that are associated with tropical storms. Okay. And just list them 1 to 5 down there. Okay. Doesn't matter whether you've got them all right or wrong. The idea is that you are trying to work out what the hazards are. In fact, there is one done for you. It tells you there in highlighted green, flooding. So you know that flooding is a hazard associated with tropical storms. Now, and then we're going to get a little bit more complicated, because following that, we're going to think about primary and secondary hazards. Now, I want you to try and work out what a primary hazard is and what a secondary hazard is. And the way you're going to do this is you're actually going to go to the Firefly page. So I opened that link before, I just go back to that. And what you'll see in the Firefly page is I've changed this activity here, so it's not the same as the one in Firefly. We changed it for you for CSL purposes. What you can do is watch some short videos here. So if you just click on those, they're only short, and you'll see a hazard there. And I want you to, I want you to look at the videos and work out what the hazards are. Okay, so you've got one there. That one tells you it's wind, but look at like how powerful the winds are, and what wind is essentially a hazard. But you're also starting to think about, well, what problems can high wind speeds actually create for the people living in those coastal areas where the tropical storms hit. And there you go. So you've watched that video is not working. Not to worry about that. And okay, so just watch those videos there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos for you to watch. So once you've watched those videos, what you're next going to do is you've got some of the hazards there, and what you're going to do is match up, these hazards here with the explanation of the hazards. Okay, so you've got 6 explanations. All you do is write the correct hazards in this area there. Now, I would really like it if you could get onto the challenge activity. And this is where you're starting to think about, well, which of those are primary and which of those are secondary? Now, in order to do that, you're going to have to Google and try and work out what is a primary hazard and what is a secondary hazard. So I want you to think about which ones are primary, which are secondary, and a definition of primary hazards and secondary hazards. Now, once you've done that, we're starting to move on to think about, okay, we know what these hazards are. We know what the primary and secondary are. What problems do these hazards actually cause? So this is connected with impacts. And like I said, we're going to be building on, what specific impacts have actually been created using some case studies. Case studies in geography are, places where something has actually occurred. So we're going to be looking at a couple of different case studies of tropical storms. So we're going to look at 3 in total, but we're going to do 2 short ones with you, and then you're going to be doing a screencast in pairs in a few weeks' time, looking at Cyclone Nargis. Okay, so a bit of pair work coming up very, very soon. Okay, so all you've got to do with this is, I've used these colors here. You can change the colors if you don't like them. But all you're going to do is read through this list here and think, okay, well, which of these, what were these caused by? So you'll notice there that I have put heavy rainfall is, I've used that as that lovely sort of like turquoise blue color. And then you'll see that I've highlighted the landslides in blue. Now think about, why have I put heavy rainfall the same color as landslides? Okay, so have a think about that. But all you're going to do is go through this list and color code these statements according to what you think is actually, which hazard they're actually associated with, which hazard has actually caused it. Okie dokie. Doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong, it is a most likely to. So sometimes it could be that there are several hazards which have caused it. I want you to do the most likely one. Okie dokie. We'll go through this when I'm finally back in class. Now, if you do that, then you're going on to activity 4, and this is about you sort of like making connections. So we've got rip currents has been done for you, and so all you're doing really is highlighting. Okay, you've got the rip currents, and the rip currents example is debris carried out to sea. Debris washes up on the beach causing pollution, and there is a decline in the wildlife number. So what we're doing there is we're thinking about these hazards and connecting the problems that they can actually cause. So rip currents has been done for you. I want you to do landslides, heavy rainfall and flooding together, and then I want you to create your own one for storm surges and strong winds. If you get that far, and I'll be super duper impressed by that, go on to the challenge activity again. Okie dokie. Now finally, and this is a little bit of home learning, but what we're looking for here, and I don't mind if you do it as a pair, if that's easier, it's up to you. I want you to follow these instructions here for creating your own storm surge. Okay, so it's like a simulation of a storm surge. Read the instructions, have a go at this, right? And I want you to video it. So if you're at home by yourself, right, you do it and get your mum or your dad or your brother or your sister to video it, and I'd like you to post that video on the team. Okie dokie. Right, hopefully that's all clear for you. And hopefully I'll be back in school hopefully in a few weeks' time, so I look forward to seeing you all. Okay, take care and have a nice day.